ceremony outside, that it is a ribbon cutting inside where it's nice and dry. But we are in our first week of spring, so spring is on its way and warmer weather is on its way. This is an exciting day for the city of Lackawanna and numerous government and community leaders that are here today to celebrate Renaissance Commerce Park. I wanted to welcome everyone to 8 Dona, Uniland's newest industrial building. I'm Michael Montanti, CEO of Uniland Development Company. Today, we mark a new chapter in Western New York's storied industrial heritage at this former Bethlehem Steel site. What was for decades a reminder of Buffalo's previous industrial success is now a symbol of its latest renaissance. It is a true honor that this building at 8 Dona is part of Uniland's growing industrial portfolio. Currently, we have 2 million square feet of industrial space spread over 230 acres. Uniland was founded almost 50 years ago in a single warehouse in Tonawanda, and this facility delivers the modern industrial space that is needed to meet our region's growing market demand. I would like to recognize Jeff Benderson and Robert Dorada and the rest of the Uniland team for delivering this building to us. Also, this would not be possible without the numerous contributions and community from our community leaders and our community organizations who are here with us today. This is a culmination of a broad team effort. I'd like to start by recognizing Erie County and specifically County Executive Mark Poloncarz, who's here with us. It was Mark's vision to turn this once blighted, long-abandoned, unused stretch of land along Route 5 into a beautiful industrial park that it is today. Because of Erie County's efforts, Renaissance Commerce Park, or RCP, that's what we call it in our shop, is attracting new jobs and businesses to the area and building upon its long-standing industrial heritage. I also like to recognize the City of Lackawanna and Mayor Annette Ifello, who is right behind me. And I'd like to recognize her and her team who have cultivated a pro-business culture here in Lackawanna. We have been extremely impressed and enjoyed working with the city in terms of zoning, entitlements, infrastructure, and other key project elements. And their forward-looking approach has helped Lackawanna rebuild their business base and create new development opportunities. And we can't forget Empire State Development. Empire State Development Corporation is a major funding partner in a large coalition redeveloping RCP. New York State has provided tens of millions of dollars in grants and tax credits towards environmental remediation, planning, and infrastructure to make this site ready for development. We thank Governor Hochul and ESD Commissioner Hope Knight, as well as Karen Utz, Regional Director of Empire State Development Company, who is here with us. Karen? So we'd like to thank them for their partnership on this important project for Western New York. And of course, we can't forget Erie County Industrial Development Agency, led by John Capolino. John? John and his team have done an excellent job to create an increased attractiveness of Renaissance Commerce Park and continue to build on the early success of this 240-acre site. And I'd like to emphasize the importance of the Erie County IDA to ensure large development projects like 8 Dona become a reality in Erie County. The IDA is an important part of the economic feasibility equation, which assists Erie County and the Western New York region to be competitive and to bring new businesses and to, as importantly, retain businesses in Erie County and the region. It's the buildings like 8 Dona that unlock the wave of economic activity. Materials for the building are purchased, jobs are created, and additional revenues generated for the municipalities and the school districts. Without the assistance of the IDA, projects like 8 Dona would likely be unfeasible. In addition, there were additional grants that included $300,000 from National Grid. Thank you, National Grid, and approximately $82,000 from National Fuel that helped 8 Dona propel forward. And of course, I'd like to recognize the tenants of 8 Dona. As many of you are aware, this building was built on spec, meaning we did not have any tenants at the time we started. However, today I am proud that 8 Dona is fully leased. Total Quality Assurance International, TQAI, whose space we are in today, took occupancy early this year and occupies 108,000 square feet, which they are using to expand their third-party automotive services here in Erie County. And doesn't this space look terrific, huh? TQA's CEO, Nick Lake, and Joe Walkowitz are here today with us, and we thank them for making 8 Dona their local headquarters in Western New York. And just recently, I'm proud to announce that Uniland has entered into a lease agreement for the remaining portion of 8 Dona with Max Advanced Brakes. Headquartered in Toronto, Canada, this will become Max Brakes' first U.S. distribution center. President and CEO Matthew Lowe and several members of the Max Brakes teams are here today with us. Our neighbors to the north are now our local neighbors, our Lackawanna neighbors, and we warmly welcome you to our community. And finally, I am excited to announce Uniland's continued commitment to Erie County and to Lackawanna and to Renaissance Commerce Park. This week marked an official start of spring, and we have begun a second building adjacent, just behind me, to where we are standing today. The address will be 2 Steelworkers Way. Just like this beautiful building you are in today, 2 Steelworkers Way will be completed in the 4th quarter of this year and will be a catalyst for continued industrial growth in our region. And we hope to see all of you for possibly a groundbreaking and certainly a ribbon cutting in the future. So I'd like to thank everyone for attending, and I would like to transition to our next speaker, County Executive Mark Poloncarz.
Thank you, Michael. It's a great day. Maybe a little gloomy outside, but it's a great day in here. A lot of you know that the creation of the Renaissance Commerce Park of mine has been a dream since I took office as county executive. And dreams don't happen by their own. You need the assistance and help of so many organizations to make it reality. As I was just explaining to someone else, the reason this didn't happen, the redevelopment of the old Bethlehem Steel site for decades, it was truthfully too difficult a project to take on. No one wanted to take it on. But I knew that if we rolled up our sleeves and worked together as a community, we could do this. And it was one of those, in my eyes, the kind of the field of dreams mentality. If you build it, they will come. And that's exactly what happened through the hard work of so many. I think about what it took to get to this point here today, from just acquiring the land through the Buffalo and Erie County Industrial Land Development Corporation in purchasing it from Tecumseh Products, which was the successor in interest to the ArcelorMittal Steel Company, which was not based in the United States. And when we would try to negotiate, we would have to wait weeks to get a response back from their headquarters, which was in the Netherlands. And it was the persistence of so many, starting with my deputy county executive, the first one, Richard Tobey, but then the bulldog on this project for a long time, our former deputy county executive who stepped away for a different position recently, Maria White, and I want to thank her for all her great work. But as I said, dreams don't happen on their own. You need a tremendous group of individuals, and that's what we had, not just in Erie County, but through our partners at the Erie County Industrial Development Agency, who understood the value of this project to this community and why this needed to happen. And I thank John Capolino and the entire staff from the ECIDA for their continued support, as well as our friends, of course, from Empire State Development in the governor's office. This would not happen without our friends in New York State providing significant assistance. So, Karen, please let Governor Hochul know that we tremendously appreciate the investment that the state has made through this years, and I continue to make, because these investments aren't over with, right? They're not over with, right? Yeah. Never put them on the spot in front of the cameras. Always put them on the spot in front of the cameras. And of course, the city of Lackawanna. If you're old enough to remember, at least old enough to qualify for AARP like myself, you're going to remember the old phrase that Ridge Dinette used to use. You're going to wanna come to Lackawanna. It wasn't that original, but it stuck. And it was the kind of thing that made people think, I'm going to go to that retail establishment. But Ridge Dinette, which still exists, doesn't exist in Lackawanna anymore. Almost every one of the major businesses that existed in this community for decades don't exist anymore. It took hard work from so many people, including our friends at the city of Lackawanna, to get to a point where we are today to ensure that we could redevelop this site. So to Mayor Alfalo, as well as to the members of the city council that are here, I really thank you for your work, your stewardship, as well as your team's work through the years to assist us to get to this point where we are today. Because this does not happen without the vision of not only certain individuals, but a community to say we can make this happen. We are not going to let this be a continual eyesore for our community where you drive by and all you think about is the past and the past failures of this community. And that's what happened when people drove by the Bethlehem Steel site for decades. Remember what it was like instead of how we're going forward and we can be better as a community. So to all my partners in government, thank you. This does not happen without the assistance of our partners in the utility industry. So to Ken Kajawa and his team at National Grid, thank you for your continued investment. And to our friends at the Erie County Water Authority, as well as National Fuel. There was no utilities. There was no utilities whatsoever when we first got to this site. They had to be built, and we had to work with our partners in the utility industry, the power industry, and make it happen, and I thank them. And of course, to Uniland Development, the Montante family. They took a chance, as was noted. This was a spec building, a 100% spec building. They didn't have a tenant lined up, but they knew they could make it happen because of the work that we've seen elsewhere, including from our friends at Welded Tube and TMP, who said, we can make this happen, we're going to invest in it. So thank you to those initial investors. But our friends at Uniland Development, thank you for your commitment and insurance that we could get this project done. You were going to get it leased, and you did. So I appreciate, because it takes this effort between public and private sector to make these projects go. So to Michael and your team, thank you very much. It is a tremendous, tremendous effort. And to the newest neighbors of Lackawanna, Total Quality Assurance and Max Advanced Brakes, thank you for choosing this site. You are at the beginning of what is only going to grow. I can guarantee you, this is just the start. There are still hundreds of other acres of this site that we are in the process of developing, an additional 200 acres that we're going to acquire in the next year. When people talk about what is advantageous about this site today, it's exactly what brought the former Lackawanna Iron and Steel Company to this location at the end of the 1800s. You have incredible access to one of the deep water ports of North America. You are right on many of the major rail lines between New York City and Chicago, and of course, just a few miles away from the Canadian border. And the highway is as good as it gets when you come to getting goods through our region. You're right near Interstate 90, in which you can take your goods anywhere. What made this site a site that Lackawanna Iron and Steel wanted to come from Pennsylvania to, more than 100 and almost 50 years now, is the reason why it continues to grow today. So to our friends in the private sector who are setting roots in the city of Lackawanna, as the son of a steelworker who grew up in Lackawanna, thank you for committing to this community. This community has got some of the hardest workers you'll see. And for too long, people just said, it's glory days were in the past. Well, we're not making steel here anymore. But on this site, just in the last few years, we've gone from creating welding tubes, a sugar refinery, the Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, and now we have these auto parts distributors that will be distributing product all across North America. It's a testimony to the hard work of so many who understood yes, this project may be too difficult to do, but we have to do it for our community. And when we finish it, we will look back on it and say, that is a legacy I can be proud of, something that made a difference in this community. The people who moved the Lackawanna Iron and Steel Company to this community 150 years ago, we don't know who they were, but we know they did it. 50, 60 years from now, people won't know who we were, but they will know that we cared enough to invest in this community to make a difference, to create good-paying jobs for the people of Erie County and Western New York, and they will look back at that time and said, you know what, that was a new frontier that they invested in, and they created a better community for all. That is something we can all be proud of. And I know this is just a start. The best is yet to come. Thank you, everybody. And with that, it is my honor to introduce my partner in this venture, our governmental partner, who's worked very hard the last few years to ensure that we can continue to have days like this, our mayor, Annette Iafallo.
Good afternoon and welcome to Lackawanna. As I travel throughout Lackawanna, it's heartwarming to speak with so many people who compliment the wonderful changes happening in our city from the past 3.5 years. Topping their compliments is this incredible transformation of the former Bethlehem Steel Plant site into Renaissance Commerce Park. And Lackawanna is so proud to be working closely with Erie County government under the leadership of County Executive Mark Polenkars, the ECIDA teams led by President and CEO John Capolino, and the many federal, state, and private partners to make the development of Renaissance occurring here possible. I'd also like to recognize 4th Ward Council Kevin Surdike that's here today, our Director of Development Lauren Jednick, our Marketing and Public Information Officer Chuck Clark, and even our City Court Judge Ken Siskowski is here. It's my honor now to recognize Uniland Development and Total Quality Assurance International with formal proclamations from the City of Lackawanna. Michael, Montana. Uniland Development. Whereas Uniland Development, led by the Montante family, is one of the region's premier real estate development companies. And whereas Uniland Development focuses on creating and managing sustainable environments which provide tenant clients with modern, productive, and comfortable environments. And whereas Uniland Development prides itself on enhancing the quality of life in the communities in which they do business and conducts this work on a set of values focused on integrity, professionalism, elegance, innovation, and customer focus. And whereas Uniland is making a multi-million-dollar investment in new development projects in the city of Lackawanna and Renaissance Commerce Park, while focusing on meeting our region's industrial needs for manufacturing and warehousing operations. And whereas Uniland is the first developer at Renaissance Commerce Park, and their work currently features the new 8 Dona Street facility. Now, therefore, the Mayor of Lackawanna, on behalf of Lackawanna City Council and our citizens, desires to publicly recognize Uniland Development for their outstanding commitment to the City of Lackawanna and continuance by helping to shape and stabilize Lackawanna's future for many years to come. In furtherance, I, Annette Iafallo, Mayor of the City of Lackawanna, hereby present Uniland Development and the Montante family with this very well-deserved proclamation of commitment and partnership. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Joe Wolkowitz. Joe Wolkowitz. Please come forward. Hi. How are you?
Hi, good, thank you.
Total Quality Assurance International, TQAI. Whereas Total Quality Assurance International, TQAI, headquartered in Flushing, Michigan, in Uniland Development's first tenant at 8 Dona Street in the city of Lackawanna. And whereas Total Quality Assurance International established its Buffalo, New York operations in 2011 and is relocating their operation to the city of Lackawanna. And whereas Total Quality Assurance International will occupy a total of 108,000 square feet of leased space. And whereas Total Quality Assurance International specializes in engineering, logistics, warehousing, total control, quality inspection services, packaging, and rework for the automotive industry. And whereas Total Quality Assurance International is making a substantial commitment in both its dollars and employees in the city of Lackawanna at Renaissance Commerce Park. Now therefore, the Mayor of Lackawanna, on behalf of the City Council and our citizens, desires to publicly recognize Total Quality Assurance International for their outstanding commitment and investment to the city of Lackawanna, and in continuance by helping to shape and stabilize Lackawanna's future for many years to come. In furtherance, I, Annette I Follow, Mayor of the city of Lackawanna, hereby present Total Quality Assurance International with a very well-deserved proclamation of new business, commitment, and partnership to Lackawanna. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'd like to welcome Karen Utz up to the podium.
Thank you, Michael. I'm not one for making fashion statements, but I would like to just note for the record, I'm wearing what I think is considered a steel gray jacket today. Over the course of the last 9 months as ESD's Western New York Regional Director, I've been privileged to visit key stakeholders and businesses in our 5-county region. Often I'm invited to see firsthand the successes like this one, which I find impressive and inspiring. But I am not shielded from the challenges. I know we need to learn from them and then do something about them. Yes, as everyone here knows, at one time Bethlehem Steel was humming with jobs and economic activity. But that hum of activity was silenced with the plant's closing and the loss of more than 20,000 jobs. What was left was a polluted Superfund site that needed to be cleaned up before redeveloped and before it could even be considered. For decades, the former Bethlehem Steel site stood as one of the region's biggest challenges. Today, the story is so different. We can once again see this entire site's potential. New York State helped clear the way. The state has invested more than $18 million to remediate this blighted land. That redevelopment means that this site can once more contribute to our region's economy. ESD has also helped other companies locate here, like TMP Technologies, maker of Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, Sucrose Sourcing, and Welded Tube. And now the opening of 8 Dona Street continues our efforts to transform this 1,000-acre site into a modern industrial park that attracts new and growing companies. And when I say our efforts, I'm referring not only to ESD, but to Governor Hochul, Erie County, the City of Lackawanna, and our private partners like Uniland. This truly is transformative. I'm excited to see what new opportunities like 8 Dona Street will open up for the working men and women of Lackawanna and Western New York. Thank you.
Thank you. And John Capolino, ECIDA.
So being last, I guess here I have the opportunity to be last. I had a great speech written, but everyone already covered it better than I can, more eloquently. So I did have 3 words written on my speech here I wanted to talk about. You know, projects like this, Renaissance Commerce Park, always require 3 things in my opinion. You need risk takers, you need visionaries, and you need great partners. And this project has had all 3. You know, from the people you heard, the county executive, the mayor, all our partners that early on, the early adopters that took risk. This project, this site is not easy. It requires a lot of hard work, requires a lot of vision. And everybody that I've ever worked on this property, this project with, has more than risen to the occasion. Anytime we've needed something, we needed cooperation, people say, what can I do? How can I help? I did want to mention, you know, on the risk-taking side too, you had the folks that the county executive and others had mentioned, the mayor, Welded Tube early on came in, sucrose sourcing, others that, took a risk on this site when we walked in and said, oh, imagine there's going to be utilities here and roads here. And through the efforts of all the people in this room, a lot of them, who are here as you work on these projects, not only are they colleagues, there's friendships that get created, partnerships that last not only for this project, but to go forward to other projects that make our community great. I had a whole list of people I'll thank, but most everyone's already been recognized. I did want to also, talk about the risk associated with this building. At the time, we as a group, all of our partners talked about the product that we need to have places for businesses to expand, to attract, to come to our community. And it really was a need that's been continued to be expressed about how we need buildings, how we need sites. And we asked, can we have somebody who will come and, build a building without tenants? Easy for me to say, but, it's not myself that has to go to the bank and convince somebody, hey, let's put a building up, and I can't tell you where my revenue's coming from. But Michael and his team saw the vision, they understood it. They took that risk with us at the time, which was not the norm. I think early adopters are always risk takers. And I just can't talk enough about the partnership of all the people who come together to make these things happen. I see a lot of friendly faces, and I hope after I leave the podium here, we get a chance to shake hands and catch up. I did want to end with a comment that I think the county executive talked about as well, is that, this site is, I drive by this way every morning to work. And when you drive by, for years you drove by what was a, rusty fence along the front of the property. And it became symbolic, I think, of what this site was when people looked backwards. Today we need to celebrate. We're looking forwards. We see the things that are happening, the jobs now that are on the site. It's going to be and it is now, you have the businesses here, you have workers here. We have a bike path. There's more to come. I'm really pleased to say that we're going to be having additional announcements, and as I think the county executive ended his speech, our future is here, and there is so much more to come, and I thank everyone in this room for all your partnership to make this happen. Thank you.
So this concludes our speaking portion of the program. So anyone who has some scissors in their hands, if you'd like to come up, or and we're going to cut the ribbon, and I think we have a few more here for the presenters. Perfect. Okay.
Can I get eyes right here for everybody? Thank you, thank you. Okay. Keep on going.
All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3.
So thank you all for coming. This concludes the ceremony. Enjoy the building and some stuff. We are